Episode 180, Old Pals. Leona stared at Alex, then slowly stood up and walked over to him. The people watching became a little flustered, especially Daryl, who clenched his fists. Someone asked, "What's she doing? Surely she's not going to choose him." His friend agreed. "It looks like she's willing to ruin her family over a cob of corn." "I just can't believe it," said another man. Alex was also stunned, and his heart fluttered as he wondered, is Debbie finally going to admit that she knows me? She went right up to Alex, looked him directly in the eye, smiled and said, "I want to thank you. Your corn was delicious. It made me feel very emotional, and because of this, I know for sure that you are deeply in love with your girlfriend, Debbie. I'm very moved by your love. She's very lucky to have a boyfriend who loves her as deeply as you do. But I'm really not her. I am really not Debbie. So I hope that from now on you will respect the fact that your girlfriend and I are two different people. You must stop thinking that I am her." She felt that his obsession with her was bad for both of them, so she wanted to convince him that he was making a mistake. When she finished speaking to Alex, she went back over to Daryl. One onlooker said, "Oh, I was worried then. I thought that she was going to accept him, but she just let him down very gently." "Hey, the boy's unbelievable. He really thought he could win her affections with a corn cob," said another. His companion agreed. He needs to get over it and understand that she's rejected him. Everyone can see that Miss Marvel and Daryl are a perfect match. Daryl was relieved when he saw that Leona had rejected Alex, and he wondered how he had ever felt threatened by him. After all, he was just a loser from the street. Miss Marvel would never be attracted to someone like him. He said to Leona, "Miss Marvel, ignore him now. I think there's something wrong with him. You haven't eaten much. Sit down and let's get back to our meal." "I'm full, thanks. I'd like to go home, please," Leona said. "Okay, I'll take you back now," Daryl said as he picked up the car keys from the table. "Let's go." "You don't have to take me. I can get home by myself," Leona told him. She continued, "Listen, Daryl, I enjoyed having dinner with you today, but I don't think that we're suited to each other. If you like, we can just be friends." Daryl's smile froze. He was embarrassed by her rejection, but wasn't prepared to give up yet. He asked, "Please, can you tell me what I did wrong? Miss Marvel, if you tell me, I will change it. We had too little time alone tonight. You haven't had a chance to get to know me properly." "No need to, but thank you," Leona said to him with a smile. At that moment, Leona's bodyguard walked into the room. He said, "Miss, the car's outside." Leona nodded to Daryl and Alex respectively, and then followed the bodyguard out of the restaurant. Again, the other diners started to comment. One woman said, "I think Miss Marvel just rejected Daryl." His friend said, "Daryl must feel even worse than that other loser. After all, she let him down gently, but her rejection of Daryl was brutal." The woman said, "Don't let Daryl hear you say that. He already looks so angry." Daryl stood on the spot and watched Leona through the window as she climbed into the car and drove away. He felt angry and frustrated. He had been planning this evening for a long time, and even before the meal was over, Leona had rejected him. He felt that she had given him even less chance to prove himself than she had given that loser Alex. The whispers of the onlookers made him blush and feel humiliated. He had already paid for the meal, so he simply glared at Alex and left quickly. The manager quickly ushered Alex out of the restaurant after him. Alex had started to feel a little more optimistic. Although Leona had still refused to admit that she was Debbie and acknowledged that she knew him, at least she had rejected Daryl. He remained convinced that, with persistence, he would find a way to convince her. It was already 8:30 in the evening as Alex slowly pushed his rental bike up the road. That moment, he heard someone cry, "Alex!" He looked up and saw that it was his high school hall monitor Miriam Henley and her boyfriend Jake. "Did you come to the restaurant by bike?" Miriam asked him. "Honey, Alex must be the person that we saw being kicked out of the restaurant by the security guards," she said to Jake with a chuckle. "I can't believe that he dared to even go into that restaurant dressed like that." A BMW drove by. The owner leaned out of the window, pointed to Alex, and said with a smile, "Alex, no one can believe that you asked Miss Marvel out today. It's so funny that she rejected you like that in the restaurant. You loser." Miriam was astounded. "You asked out someone from the Marvel family? One of Mr. Marvel's daughters?" "Yes, this guy still dreams of marrying into the Marvel family, but he was rejected by Miss Marvel in person. He also quarreled with Daryl Brennan," the owner of the car answered her, and then sped away. Miriam was hysterical. She laughed. "Alex, you crack me up. You went to the restaurant dressed like that to ask Miss Marvel for a date?" She was laughing so much that she started rocking back and forth. She continued teasing Alex. "By the way, where do you work now? How much money can you make in a month? I think you might as well drop out of school and go to work in the electronics factory." "Hey Miriam, what are you talking about? Alex is too good for the electronics factory," Jake joked. "He's one of the best students at Preston University. He wouldn't be seen dead at a factory. He's planning to be a top manager of a multinational business. Am I right, Alex?" "All right, let's leave him alone. Let's go to a different restaurant to eat. I still can't believe he thought he could afford to eat somewhere like this," Miriam said as she looked snootily at Alex, took Jake's arm and walked away. Alex rode his bike back to his rented room. For the next 20 days, Alex continued with his plan. Every day he waited for an hour at the gate of Arlington Heights. But he was not as impulsive as he had been previously. When he saw Leona walking out of the building, he just stood quietly on the street and watched her. He was satisfied just seeing that she was well. Of course, he observed several other rich young men trying to court Leona, but none were successful. After nearly 3 weeks, however, she was still looking at him with puzzlement and anxiety. And he realized that she was starting to lose her patience with him. One day, Lindsay calculated that Alex had been waiting there for more than a month, and she couldn't understand what he was doing. She told him, "You better not wait here anymore. My sister really isn't this Debbie that you think she is. Waiting here like this isn't going to get you anywhere." Alex was used to a lack of comprehension from everyone who saw him. With a cool smile, he said, "Thank you, but she's the meaning of my life. How can I live without her?" "Is it really worth it? You must understand that my sister can't be with you." Lindsay frowned slightly. Alex didn't answer. He just sat quietly opposite the gate of Arlington Heights. Lindsay told him, "My sister is about to start school. She's studying at Richmond University. She's hardly ever going to come back here. There's no point in you waiting here anymore." "Okay, thank you for letting me know," he replied calmly. But inside his heart was hammering. Lindsay looked at him for a few seconds, then sighed and walked away. The next day, Alex followed Nellie to the RFK Memorial Stadium to set up the pancake stand. Nellie was becoming frustrated with Alex's visits to Leona every day and threatened to reduce his pay. She had already deducted money from his salary that month. Business was good for them at the stadium, and they made more than $200 that morning. At lunchtime, a girl approached the food truck and said, 2 pancakes, please." When she saw Alex, she said, "Alex, it's you." He looked at the girl carefully and recognized her as one of his old high school classmates, Philippa. They had never paid each other much attention in class. He smiled and said politely, "Philippa, what a coincidence. You're also here in Washington, D.C." But she ignored him and called to her friend, "Miriam, come over here." A moment later, Miriam came over. When she saw Alex working in the food truck, she smiled at him scornfully. Philippa took Miriam's arm and said with a smile, "Miriam, you told me a few days ago that Alex was here, but I didn't believe it. Now I know it's true." Miriam sneered. I also said that he found a job. I didn't realize that his job was selling pancakes. It's hilarious." Philippa was still surprised. She said to Alex, "Yes, Alex, what are you doing? You're a student of Preston University. If you needed to find a part-time job, you should have found something decent. You shouldn't be doing something so menial." Miriam and Philippa were studying at a university in Washington, and the new term was about to start. They had returned to the city early. Although the university that they attended wasn't a particularly good one, Miriam had found a rich boyfriend. For that reason, Philippa wanted to stay on her good side. She knew that in the future, when she was looking for a good job, Miriam's boyfriend could help her. "Philippa, don't bother. I could tell when we were in high school that he had no ambition to improve himself. It looks like he's no different now," Miriam sneered. Miriam was proud of herself and looked down at Alex. At that moment, pungent smoke wafted into her face. Miriam and Philippa started choking. They quickly took a few steps back, bent down and coughed. When they finished coughing, Miriam pointed to Nellie and asked angrily, "What are you doing?" She saw that Nellie had burned the pancakes and was tilting the pan to let the smoke blow straight out toward them. "What's the matter?" Nellie asked with a smile. "I'm sorry, but it seems that I've burned your pancakes. Do you still want them?" Miriam was furious. "You have to cook fresh ones for us right now," she said. "I'm sorry, but I'm tired and it's too late to make fresh ones. If you want these, you can have them for free," Nellie replied with a smile. "You stupid cow! What do you mean you're too tired?" Miriam shouted as she glared at Nellie. She was ready to push her way into the food truck. But before she could move, Nellie tilted the pan and a stream of hot oil dripped onto the ground by her feet. Miriam squealed and stepped back. "Forget it, Miriam. Let's go and get food somewhere else," Philippa said. She took Miriam's arm and pulled her away.